Ultimate Pro Football GM. Start your dynasty today.
By the way, Mike, speaking of being locked in, I am 9-1 picking games against the spread the last 2 weeks. 9-1.
Oh, I'm back.
I have to make some people money this week.
I'm back in our fantasy league. Tied for second.
But I'm in first place.
I know you are. You by 2 games.
Yep.
It's like 4 of us, 6-4.
Guys, we got
All right,
Aditi.
let's get Aditi.
Let's bring in Aditi here.
in.
She was on the call of the Jets-Cardinals beatdown this weekend. What's up, Aditi?
Aditi, I want to ask you about that because I know that Drew Petzing, obviously the former he's a former coach with the Browns, coached under Kevin Stefanski. Mm-hmm. He's calling the plays in Arizona. And Jason was telling us that you spoke with Kyler Murray and that Kyler really liked what the Cardinals were doing offensively, right?
I mean, we walked in the meeting with Singh and said, what does it feel like to run Kevin Stefanski's offense when Kevin can't run it? That's what we opened with.
You said that?
And he laughed. Oh, yeah, I totally said that.
Look at you. Wow. All right.
He was great about it.
Yeah.
I won't tell you everything he said there, but I will tell you this. Kyler Murray is playing so well right now. And even though his numbers aren't gaudy, Jonathan Gannon, an Ohio native, he said just the other day that he thinks he is playing the best football on the planet, and he's not wrong. Kyler said that he's playing the position of quarterback better than he ever has, that he's never been so completely comfortable, and a big piece of that is that he loves him. Now, this system, he'll admit, is sometimes boring for the quarterback. You know, the way he put it the week before they beat down the Jets, they'd played a very controlled game against the Bears. And he said, you know, it's hard because my impact on the game was basically checking into runs. But the Cardinals have a monster run game, and sometimes you need to win behind that run game. So Kyler, for the first time in his life, doesn't necessarily have every single thing on his shoulders. In the past, it was if his team was going to win, it was simply because of how he played. Now, this is a system that takes advantage of everything that's on the field. Obviously, it's run first in a lot of ways. There are a lot of answers. There are a lot of checkdowns. But as Kyler Murray said, you play within the system, then there's an opportunity to go and do those freaky things. He loves working with Petzing. He has evolved so much just in his ability to accept that he doesn't have to be the superstar every single week. It's funny, Petzing was saying every superstar always wants to be the reason that his team wins. But as he's explained to Murray, and Murray is finally getting, this isn't fantasy football. It's not only about the quarterback. And if you have 10 other guys on the field, you use the 10 other guys. But of course, we know that's what the Browns used to do. Maybe not so much anymore.
Damn.
Shots fired.
I mean, I don't know. Look, like, Petzing is doing so great out there. Kyler Murray is so bought in. To argue against the results that they have. I mean, the Cardinals have 4 wins in a row. They have 5 in the last 6. They're leading their division, and their players are so locked in. They appreciate what they're doing.
Well, let's talk about those Browns then, because I want to ask.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we do. I mean, it says.
Well, you don't want to talk about the Jets? I mean, if you want to talk about train wrecks, we can talk about the Jets.
By the way,
the Cowboys.
We're always talking about people owing apologies. Everybody in the national media had the Jets being a playoff team and a Super Bowl contender, and I said all offseason they were going to stink. Did I not, Mike? I said it all offseason. They were going to suck.
He was as adamant.
But you know what's so interesting? Who's more disappointing? Are the Jets more disappointing, or are the Cowboys? Remember, the Cowboys were a 12-win team. They paid Dak Prescott. They ultimately paid CeeDee Lamb. 12-win team.
Yeah.
Are the Cowboys actually more disappointing? Like the Jets, we thought they'd be all this, but you have a 40-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles and all sorts of.
Well, that's what I was saying, Aditi, but people were ignoring that all offseason. They're both equally disappointing.
The Cowboys dealt with a lot of injuries, particularly.
Dak was terrible this year before he got hurt.
I don't disagree with that, but there's also a lot of Micah Parsons was out, D-Law was out, Deron Blaine was out. Like, there's a lot of people
they were still playing terrible.
Yeah, but how about Micah Parsons calling out his head coach? Did you guys see that?
That was weak.
What do you have to say about
They're trying to
McCarthy?
get Dion in there. Anyways.
They should hire Dion.
No, they ain't going to hire Dion. Ain't leaving. Well, he might. I ain't going to say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he might. Once his boys are out, then,
Might,
you know.
By the way,
anyway.
Go ahead.
Browns.
No,
Are
no,
you
no.
team Jameis or team DTR?
You know, I'd like to see DTR. I think Jameis is such a wonderful personality. I think he's such a great teammate. I love the reclamation stories for quarterbacks. You know, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, guys getting another chance in a new place and growing from their first experiences. I do love all of that, but I think that DTR's got a ton of potential. He's unbelievably heady. He has not necessarily been put in the best position, you know, whether it was the Ravens last year or the Bengals game this year where he didn't even know all week he was going to be the backup and then gets thrown in. The Browns are very high on him. A year ago, Andrew Berry said that he was their 5th highest rated quarterback in the entire draft on board. So give him a chance. Let's go see what you have. You know, Deshaun Watson is not, regardless of whatever decisions are made, Deshaun Watson won't be ready week 1 of next season. So shouldn't you at least see what you have in DTR? And who's to say that there isn't potential? He's got great rapport with Cedric. He's got a really great mind, a really great head on his shoulders. I'd like to see what you could do with him.
Aditi, if you were the general
Do you
manager,
disagree? What do you guys think? This is supposed to be a conversation.
I'm with you. I'm team DTR as well. I think it just makes sense because he's the only guy that's on the roster past this season, so you might as well go ahead and lean into
see
that.
what you have.
I
Right.
wouldn't do it
Right.
DTR is not the answer. We all know this. It's like a
How
1
do
in
we know
100.
this?
Because he weighs like 100 pounds. This guy can't be he's gotten
that
hurt
your
4
only thing
times.
with him?
He's played 5 games. He's been hurt 4 times.
whole year.
This guy can't last. He is not going to be the quarterback of the future. They've got to get it. And you know what? I know, and I used to be one of these people that was like, yeah, you want to have as good a draft pick as possible. But the Browns have done so much losing. There's such a loser mentality in this organization that I think trying to win is meaningful. And if you have a good GM, which they don't, but if you do have a good GM, then it shouldn't matter where you're drafting. You should be able to get good players.
I was just about to
You
ask,
made a face, Aditi.
I was just about to ask this question, Aditi.
Andrew Berry's done a bad job. Let's be honest about it.
If you had the number one, with the first pick the Browns had take, and they have this year, would you draft a quarterback?
Probably. Well, I'd want to see DTR first, and then maybe yes.
So
Again,
the problem with drafting a quarterback, it's got to be a quarterback worth it.
Adam, it's been such a small sample size, okay?
Yeah.
And yes, size is certainly something to think about, but Kyler Murray's not very tall, and look at where he's going, you know? And guys can put on weight, and I want to see what he is before I am done.
I'm with you, Aditi.
But let's face it.
100%, I'm with
Tyvis.
you.
The percentage of quarterbacks drafted as late as him that have any success in the NFL is almost zero. I know you can give a couple
So
of
what?
examples.
There's always a unicorn. There's always a unicorn. There's always a Tom Brady. How do you know you don't have a unicorn?
He got arm
Why do you
talent.
write off a guy before you've even given him a chance?
He'll get a chance because Jameis is not going to play the rest of the year. But I'd play Jameis for another few weeks and try to give the team a chance to win at least some games.
But do you really think he gives you the better chance to win?
By a lot, yes.
Dang.
I mean, look, the coaching staff had made a decision.
Yeah.
They felt that they had 2 number 2s in DTR and Jameis. Jameis started as the number 2. Before that Bengals game, they made the decision that actually DTR should be the number 2. There was a reason that they were moving to DTR as the number 2. Now, I do think it's malpractice that they didn't give him the second team reps all week, that they didn't prepare him to actually be the backup, but they clearly felt strongly enough about what they're seeing from him in practice to move him ahead of Jameis Winston.
Well,
so
I mean,
I don't know that they're really as far apart as you are implying they
well,
are.
Aditi, they also made the argument that Deshaun Watson was going to give them the best chance to win. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if I trust their honesty right now, their judgment. Is that unfair?
I'm just going to say no comment on that one, okay?
Oh, I love a no comment that we read between the lines.
Oh, we can make it up.
Well,
make it
you
up.
read between the lines at your own peril.
Go ahead.
I mean, Jedrick Wills, was it as bad as it sounded?
Did you hear the comment?
I didn't. Can you repeat it for me totally, like verbatim?
Can we play it, Mike, so she can hear it?
Jedrick Wills? Yeah, we can play it again.
All right.
We'll just play the first part, but this is Jedrick Wills being asked about why he didn't play what he thought, and he mentions it being a business decision. Here it is.
It was pretty shocking. I mean, I decided myself that I made a business decision not to play after the Bengals game, going into that Ravens game, because I was injured. And then the next week was when I received the news. So, I mean, I got hyperextended on the very first play. I kind of felt it, but we were going up on the ball, and everybody was getting set. So I was like, well, I'll stay in. If it hurts later and I got to come out, then it is what it is. But I ended up finishing the game. The next day I got some treatment and stuff, and my knee was really swollen. I couldn't really bend it. So played out the week how it went, and I wasn't ready for game time, so I didn't end up playing. Earlier on in the week, it was just more kind of like they evaluated what it was. I had a lot of
cut it there.
I get drained. I had some swelling. I had some damage to my cartilage, and I have a bone bruise that I've been dealing with since last year. So they just kind of evaluated it. I didn't practice the first 2 days that were full speed, and then we had a padded practice. I didn't practice. I tried to do some stuff on the Friday, didn't feel good, and then they just declared me as inactive after that Friday practice.
A lot of fans, Aditi, were worked up about him saying it was a business decision. Tyvis and I didn't have a problem with it. G did have a problem with it. A lot of fans have a problem with what he said. What do you think?
I don't. I think I appreciate all the context, because obviously all I'd seen was that little one snippet with the business decision. I don't have a problem with it. I think he gave enough explanation to say that he just wasn't healthy.
Right.
And so perhaps it's one of those things that if you're in a playoff game and a must-win, you get shot up and you play through as much pain as you possibly can. But in a situation like he felt, I can't really give 100%. I won't be at my best out there, and I don't want to look like a fraction of myself and then get ripped for that. So, I don't have as much, like I'm willing to hang the hat, if that's what you're saying, basically.
By the way, I got to tell you, Aditi, and I don't mean to embarrass you, and I don't mean to throw some of your colleagues under the bus.
That's a great setup.
Right,
there we go. All right.
But you and Evan Washburn are the only two sideline reporters I will listen to. Otherwise, I mute the sideline reporter every time, because every other sideline reporter besides you and Evan asks stupid questions. I'm sorry. I know it's a little mean. Maybe it's not their fault. You actually ask like human being real questions. So does Evan. The rest of the sideline reporters, in my mind, are terrible, and I know that's mean, and I apologize. And if you don't want to even say anything, that's fine. But it's a compliment to you that I listen to you, because you're good and Evan's good, and that's it. That's my opinion. I'm sorry if I insulted people.
Moving, like, how does someone respond to something like that?
Can't respond.
I feel like
I just gave you a compliment and you can't even respond.
I appreciate that you listen to me, and I appreciate that you like my questions. And it's funny because, I would tell you right now, I think that, and I would get in trouble for saying this because there are so many people that are tremendous at this job. But let me just say, I love Melissa Stark. I think she is tremendous at what she does. She is also a dear friend of mine, and we talk about what we do professionally, and you bring up questions every week. We kind of go through interviews that we've done, that other people do, and the point that you're making is to try to be human and get human response.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yes.
Because otherwise it can be very formulaic. A lot of these guys, especially quarterbacks, are trained generic as can be. And, sometimes just kind of throwing somebody for a loop or making them laugh out loud or asking the unexpected just gives you a little bit more of a window into people who, quite frankly, just as we did with Jedrick Wills, where we are parsing every word he said, these people are trained to just be as straight as can be. So I think it's harder. I think it's a lot harder to ask questions in those moments than you realize, and to ask the right questions. And no one on the other side of the TV necessarily realizes how many constraints we are often under, or the things that are happening around us, or parameters that are set for us. So all I would ask is that you give some grace to the people that are doing a job that maybe you have not ever done, because you may not know all that good. It's not as easy as a lot of people
and
think.
And Melissa Stark is good. I'll throw her in the good crew too. But like when you interviewed Flacco after the game that time, and you joked about the Richard, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something about Richardson saying he's cooler than he thought.
Richardson thinking he was cooler than
right. That was funny. You brought out his personality. But you're right. It's hard to bring out personalities in those quick situations.
I'll give you the example, not to pat myself on the back, but I'll come back to Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is very, very straight, and he's very careful. And if you remember, a year ago, Kyler Murray was coming off of injury, and people had written him off as a bust and were ripping him in all these different ways before he had this new offense, and loved working with Drew Petzing and Isaiah Wolfork, another guy who was in Cleveland. And in any case, Kyler's pretty straight. And he takes it straight. So I just tried to open up with something that I hoped would kind of take him in a different direction. And that is that the Bears game that they had won the previous week, we talked at length, there was kind of a boring game for him. I mean, they had 200 and something rush yards. And as he said it, I impacted the game by canning, meaning can run. He checked down to runs basically all game. And so I started with, last week you said the win was boring. How about this week? Because he threw the ball all over the place, had all these touchdowns. And Kyler laughed out loud. Like, he literally looked at me, laughed, hung his head down, came back. And if you think about it, his answer was actually, after that, fairly generic. Talking about what a great team effort it was. Mm-hmm. He started with, yes, this was a lot more fun for me and the receivers, but it was such a great team effort, and the run game did this, and the offensive line did this, and our defense did this. But just getting him to laugh at the start and to throw him off balance a little bit, I felt made it a better interview, because you got to see a little bit of his personality and see that he's not strict robot that you often see. But it doesn't always work. The third question I asked him in the preseason, he had said people are sleeping on the Cardinals. Well, now here the Cardinals have won 4 in a row. They're leading their division. I said, I'm going to give you some of your other old words. You said that people were sleeping on the Cardinals. What do you think now? And he gave an answer you'd expect. He's like, yeah, you're right. I did say that. But like I said to you the other day, blah, 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 blah. And, whatever he said, whether it matters or it doesn't. I didn't get a great answer. So, sometimes you try and you win, and sometimes you try and you fail, but at least you try.
All right, Aditi.
That's my attitude, at least.
I apologize if I put you in an awkward spot. You handled it like a total pro, as you always do, unlike me.
I appreciate that.
And we will see you next week. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.